Yes, ladies. So I discovered that some of you still don't know how to cut your camisole properly. So this is a repeat class to help you cut camisoles. So here on my table is a fabric. This is actually a damask fabric, and it's a by 60 fabric. I love working with by 60 fabrics because they give you enough length and width to work with. Like for this one, being less almost is about 30 inches wide, but it's going to be perfect for me because of the length. All I need to do, like if you open up, you see is this long. It's really long. So all I need to do is to fold into two like this and fold again. If I do this folding into two, then into another two, that's into four, you see I have enough length on my table. You don't get this with Ankara, but you get this with sample fabrics. So when I fold into two this way, after folding lengthwise into two, then the width I now fold into two, I have this much. You see, if I measure from here to this point, it's about 28 inches. So it's perfect for anybody. That length is just okay. And this is the wrong side I have on the table facing me, not the right side. You use the left side, the wrong side, so that when you make your tracing, it actually does not affect your dress on the outside. So I'm going to fold this properly. It's on the table, and what I need to do is to make sure that I separate it. So I'm going to cut it here at the top part from where I'm going to start measuring the shoulder into two pieces, because if you don't cut like this, you may know your shoulder may be joined together after you must have cut. So I've already done that. It's cut, as you can see, but I want to trim the edges so that they can be equal. So if you don't have equal edges, feel free to trim off the excess and make sure it's straight. Okay, if you don't know how to get it straight, you can get your ruler and actually measure from the bottom until you get it straight. So here we go with our two pieces of fabric placed together. That's the front and that's the back. So always separate it. Okay, so now I want to take my shoulder. That's the first thing you do. If I check the width, I find out that the width will be perfect for me. You see, across like that, I have about 17 divided by 4 times 4, more than 60. So no matter how fat you are, this can actually do to serve. So my shoulder is 16. Is a camisole. If I want to put a sleeve, I should add half inch both sides. So that will give me extra 1 inch. So as opposed to 16, I should be looking for a 17 inches shoulder. So I'm going to measure 17 because I may add a sleeve, okay, if I so desire. But if I don't want the sleeve, I'll show you what to do. Now your armhole. I told you earlier that from a size 12 up, 8-inch armhole is fine, so that you have freeness at the arm area, the armpit area. So I'm going to measure 8, but I should also include my half-inch seam allowance that I've done, that I'm going to use to hold the shoulder. That's why this half-inch is there. So just rule straight along that line. Then I'm going to take my ruler again and roll across towards the outer part of the fabric. That forms the area for my armhole. Now, what do I do next? Take my bust. The bust is taken right under the armhole. So my bust is 38. 38 divided by 4 gives me 9.5. So that's what you have here. Okay? Now, if I want to get my waist, there are two options. You could use your measurements, your back measurements. That's the measurement you get for measuring your center bone at the neck area to the part where your waist curves the most. That could give you where you could measure your waist from. Or you could also use your half length. Okay, a little above your half length will be fine, so it's not too low, especially if it has to be a dress that has a bit of fitting. So you just come from the shoulder. Like for me, for my back, where it curves the most is about 17. So I'll do 17 and a half, and that's where what you have. That's my waist. This is my bust. You can see I've made a point, a dotted mark there. Now I need to get my hip. What serves as your hip is the bottom area of your camisole, because it actually does not get to your hip. But if you do not take that into consideration when cutting, you're going to find out that it's too tight up down here, and your top doesn't go down, it will be hanging. So my hip is 43, so 43 divided by 4 gives me almost 11, just a little less than 11. So I'm going to mark that. So you see the dot, that's my hip, that's my waist, and that's the bust. So what do I do now? I need to just trace along those lines. You could use your ruler, and you come like that, you roll. Then from the waist to the hip, you also take your ruler and you roll. Okay, that is the shape you want. Now this is a bit too pointed, so you make it a bit rounded at the waist here, because if you cut having that kind of point, your dress is going to, your camisole will look really funny. I hope you understand that fact. All right, so now what do we do now? We've gotten our shape, we've gotten our armhole, we need the neck. Now it depends on the neckline you want. If you want a round neck, it will go as low as 6. If you want a U-neck, it will go as low as 8 inches. If you want a V-neck, it can go as low as 8 inches as well. But for this, for me, I want to do a round neck. So what do I do? From the top of the dress again, I'm going to measure a round neck camisole. I want to use 5.5. Okay. So then the width, I think a 4 is okay for me. You could use a 3.5. That's the least you can use. Because if it's smaller than that, it won't pass through your head. So I want to use a 4, so it's a bit free, because I like the neckline a bit wide. So take your ruler, you now rule at the bottom part, just like you did for the armpit. You now come to the top too, from the top to where the other line ends, you also rule. So you have another square there. So how do you get your round neck? All you need to do is make a C curve, or you call it an arc. If your C is too small, you end up with a U-neck. So make the C a bit wide, like you have there. What it does for you, you can trace as you want, because it's your tracing that gives you the shape you desire. So you notice my arc, my C comes in, it's not so at the end there. If it's so at this point, you will almost get a 4-corner neck. So it has to really come out to this point. Okay, try to just get a round neck. All you need to do is to draw. If I draw the other way, if I use my tape now and I just do the slant diagonally like that, what I get is a V-neck. So if you do this way, you get a round neck. If you come down here, you get a U-neck. And if you do nothing at all and you use this 4-corner, you get a 4-corner neck. So be careful when you trace, when you draw. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my armhole, but for the armhole, your C can be smaller and a bit closer to the points where the two lines meet, because your armhole needs to really be deep. Okay, because if you make it too wide, then you find your armhole going out and losing the shape you have on your dress. So that's it. Now I'm going to come to this side of the camisole. If it's a fitted dress that has a zip, you can go for this shapely. But if it's going to be a top, a camisole that is free, you want to wear without the zip and it doesn't stretch, then I think you should go for an A-line. How do you get your A-line? You maintain your bust, you forget about your waist, and you should add about 2 or 3 inches to your hip. Now I'm going to add 2 inches to my hip. I don't want it to be 2 extra inch, and that's what I get. Okay, now I'm going to take my ruler, place at that point where the two extra inches stops, and come to the point where my bust also measurement is, and I just rule. Voila, you see, that's my A-line. As the word implies, your A is not straight, but it goes out, narrower on the top, wider at the bottom. So with this kind of measurement, you can actually wear your camisole effortlessly without a zip. So I hope it's understood and it's clear. If you have it so straight, you have issues at the bottom. So for a camisole, it should be a bit of an A-line. That way, it gives you the room that you desire. So now, what am I going to do? I'm going to cut. So I'm going to cut around the neck, cut around the armhole, and that way. But before you cut, always leave allowance, your seam allowance. Now, you could decide to leave 1 inch. it's okay. So let's leave 1 inch to the down part, 1 inch all the way. Now I'm going to still trace along those dotted lines, as you can see. So when I'm going to cut on that line. Then I'm going to sew on the inner line. So we have your line A and your line B. Your line A is where you're going to sew on, because that's the measurement you want. Your line B is actually your seam allowance. In case it's too tight, you can open up. So there you have it. I hope it's well understood now. Thank you for your time and listening to me.